Hey, shalom everyone. This is Chris Shoemaker, also known as Yehuda Ben Shomer, and welcome to the Daily Drash. Today's Daily Drash, I want to pose the question, why do evil men, why do pagan men rule the world? Why do they overcome the good and the godly? Why does this happen? So God can get the greater glory. So God can manifest his power, his glory, and his presence. So God can do so in an effort and in a way to be a witness to these pagan kings and these wicked, evil rulers, because he's going to get the greater glory. And sometimes the only way to witness to a world ruler is to allow them to have their way and then all of a sudden be opposed by a godly person. We see in the book of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 4, that where King Nebuchadnezzar had this crazy dream about this huge tree and how it was cut down. And Daniel interpreted this dream and said, you are this great tree that's going to be cut down. You're going to lose your sanity for 7 years, and then you're going to come back to your senses, and the kingdom will be restored to you. This happened. And as a result, King Nebuchadnezzar recognized that the God of Israel was the almighty, only one and true God. In Daniel chapter 4, starting at verse 31, he says, and I blessed, Nebuchadnezzar said, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my reason returned. And I blessed the Most High, praising and extolling him who lives forever. For his sovereignty is an eternal sovereignty, and his empire lasts from age to age. The inhabitants of the earth count for nothing. He does as he pleases with the array of heaven, with the inhabitants of the earth. No one can arrest his hand or ask him, what are you doing? So, Nebuchadnezzar's God was the god Baal. And he said, man, the God of Israel can't hold a candle to Baal. Baal's nothing compared to the God of Israel. And so I believe he converted. I believe that, he gave his heart to the God of Israel. The same thing happened in Daniel's day to King Darius of the Medes and the Persians. After Daniel was thrown into the lion's den and survived the lion's den, it says, King Darius then wrote to the men of all the nations and people. This is Daniel chapter 6, starting with verse 26. King Darius wrote to the men of all the nations and people and languages throughout the world, may peace be with you all. I decree in every kingdom of my empire, let all tremble with the fear of the God of Daniel. He is the living God. He endures forever. His sovereignty will never be destroyed, and his kingship never end. He saves, he set free, and works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He has saved Daniel from the power of the lions. I don't really know who King Darius worshipped or served as the king of the Medes and the Persians, but he ended up proclaiming the God of Daniel, the God of Israel, as the one and only true God, even above his gods. That is amazing. So, we see believers and Christians in China, in North Korea, in Iran, Iraq, and all these Islamic and atheistic nations, Christians being persecuted, being arrested, being thrown in prison, being tortured, and even being killed. So why? What is the purpose? Well, I believe that it's one of the same purposes that Daniel was put in the position he was in the kingdoms of Babylon and of Persia, and that is to be a witness. Because sometimes that's the only way that these godless pagan nations are going to be witnessed to. So why does God allow his children to be captured and tortured and imprisoned and martyred? Because Christianity, Messianic Judaism, faith in the God of Israel, the one true God, is illegal in these closed countries of atheism and Islam. And so you can't have missionaries or ministers go in and minister into the prisons or minister into these countries and into the governments of these countries. So God allows his children, allows believers, brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters in the Lord, to be arrested so that they'll be thrown in prison, so that they can be brought before these officials and these kings and these presidents and these dictators and these prison officials and wardens and inmates, to witness to them, to minister to them, to proclaim the truth of the gospel and of the one true God of Israel. That's why. That's what he did with Daniel. And that's what he does with other believers. And as a result, even though through their torture and their trial and their tribulation and even sometimes death through martyrdom, that nonetheless that the witness of God, the truth of God and the gospel is proclaimed to these Islamic or atheistic people. And as a result, many turn their hearts to God and get saved. It's amazing. It just goes beyond our reasoning or insight or our logic, but God knows what he's doing. So if you're being persecuted or you're being come against by leaders because of what you believe, stick to your guns and stick to your guns in love and watch God work. Watch God minister and work through you and proclaim his greatness through you so that they can't deny that God, the God of Israel, is the one true God and his word is true and his principles and laws are true and he stands forever. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom and Shavua Tov. Want a good laugh that's just clean fun and carries a positive spiritual message? Then check out Dr. Dialect. Just go to my YouTube channel, Raybash Katan, and look for the playlist Dr. Dialect. This guy will leave you in stitches.